bull's victims can't be heard because the metal acts as a sound barrier. Sound waves can't travel through material as dense as metal. However, if the fire superheats the air inside the brazen bull, a victim might struggle to reach the tube built inside the bull's head. The victim could siphon fresh air out of the tube and then exhale while screaming.
I would imagine inside the bronze bull, if there was only one spot for him to breathe in as he's screaming back out again, it must have sounded something like this.
Ancient texts describe how the tyrant Phalaris wanted to test the bull's musical properties. So he commanded the artist who built the bull to climb inside and scream like someone being burned. But in a moment of fiendish trickery, the tyrant locked the trap door and lit the fire beneath. The machine worked as promised. The artist was the brazen bull's first victim. Haunting acoustics aside, the brazen bull's metallurgical properties make it a mechanical horror. The ancient Greeks were skilled metal workers. They could certainly craft a realistic piece of this size.
Bronze is a relatively low temperature metal. It would melt at about 1800 degrees. It's an alloy of copper and tin. For something close to 1,000 pounds, which is what a full-scale bull would weigh, they probably would have made it out of sheet metal like this, and this is sheet bronze right here. If the fire maybe reached 5 to 1,000 degrees, it's not going to melt the bronze, but it would soften it.
The brazen bull is basically going to be conduction heat, which is ultimately what's going to kill the condemned. When you have that flame that's going to be underneath, it will actually heat out in a cylindrical pattern, depending on the mass, all the way through the entire thing. So depending on how big the flame is, this whole thing will uniformly heat.
To understand just how quickly heat transfers through bronze and into flesh, blacksmith Tony Swatman has devised a simple experiment. Build a bowl from bronze and sear chicken meat.
This is relatively light metal, but anyone inside of this would not be able to get out of it. Bronze work hardens to almost the degree of the steel once you hammer it. So now we're ready to cook.
The chicken meat simulates human flesh. It will help visualize how quickly heat transfers into a person when in direct contact with bronze.
You're probably going to be getting at least 800 degrees on the inside of this. You can see the heat developing here. This will get to a red heat. And see how it's getting red right there? So that area is red from the contact with the flame underneath it. And the chicken underneath here is still burning. So you can see it's just like cooking in a regular frying pan. Now if I'm doing direct flame, I mean that chicken's on fire. The heat and smoke and fumes coming off of here would be suffocating you on the inside. The pain would be horrible. And you'd be burning to death.
When the person is placed inside this brazen bull, it's just like cooking a turkey in your oven. You burn the outside of the skin and you slowly dehydrate the inside, and if you leave them in there long enough, it will eventually become very tough and very dry. The heat itself would slowly cook you from the inside out.
The extreme heat engulfing the victim would make for a short musical performance before heat exhaustion knocked him out. One can only speculate how quickly the brazen bull would then finish him off. Based on the extreme dehydration trauma, the survival window is under 10 minutes. For 16 years, the tyrant condemned anyone who challenged his power to cook inside the brazen bull.
Tradition, of course, has it that Phalaris enjoyed this device so much that he would use it during banquets, inviting people over, listening to the bull roar, and also masking the scent of the roasting flesh by adding aromatic herbs so there was more of an effective incense in the air than of burning human flesh.
This is not something you just did and walked away from. This was a source of entertainment. I don't know what kind of person would think of that. It's absolutely cruel, it's absolutely sadistic, and completely inhumane.
Ancient texts state the cruel brazen bull was tossed into the ocean immediately after Phalaris was tossed from his throne in 554 BC. But the technology of the brazen bull persists today. The sound of this machine is a one-note terror. but today's brass instruments can play an entire range of musical notes. Coming up next, ancient Celts harnessed the power of heat transfer in diabolical fire-fueled machines.